Hello, you are welcome to the tutorial again on SAS R. So today we'll be talking about how to import multiple CSV files into SAS and R. So on the left, I've prepared these codes here to make that happen, while here on the right I've also prepared a code for R to make that happen. So just to give you a background about what I'm going to be doing today, I already have some files here. Okay, CSV, you can see Olympics 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to bring the 5 data sets, CSV files, into SAS and R as well, and combine them to a single data. Okay, that will be, the first one will be appended to the second, the third, the second will be appended to the third, until all the 5 data sets are combined into a singular data set. Okay, so just to give you a feel of the data and how I set it up, I want to start by, let me put this thing this way. Okay, now I want to show you how I set up the data set. Okay, here is the data set. I just replicated it. It has the name Olympics 1, and here is an identifier that I added to it. It doesn't even go with these numbers here. Okay, so I just added 1,000, and on the second one, so this is the first sheet, first data. I close it, I go back and I open the second one. Number 2, I identify it with 2,000. Okay, the reason is this, so that when I combine the data set, I can trace, I can be sure that it actually imported the data that I wanted it to import. Okay, now let's go back to the third one. The third one, I identified it with 3,000. Okay, let's get started. So to do that, to get started in this part here with SAS, we have to define our directory where the data is resident, or where we have the data set, and that is this folder here called Olympics. And we can do that. We can actually use this code to represent that. To get this code, you just need to click on Olympics and come to properties, and you see it here. Okay, you see it here. And then to set up a macro to do that. Okay, I set up a macro to do the import. Okay, so normally from the past tutorial we use these code here to import the CSV file. Okay, without this ampersand. But with the macro, we can do a lot more with the macro. Okay, we can do a lot more with the macro, in that we can specify. We have a macro variable, and then we have a parameter that we want to that kind of changes. Okay, that parameter that changes, that we want to supply to SAS at the end of the day, is what we had here. Okay, in this case, so here I declare a macro, and the name of the macro variable is import CSV. When I click it, anywhere it is in the current session is also highlighted. Okay, so I created a macro here, and I have okay, I started the macro here. First I need to run this to be sure everything ran fine. So it ran fine, so I now want to also, it ran fine for only one of the data sets. So for me to make it repetitive, to make it able to do that for all the data set at once, I have to write a macro. Okay, macro is a kind of a way to make it do that task multiple times. Okay, so now the macro is set, so I need to still write the code, but this time I need to reference the macro instead of adding the data set, okay, but I need to reference the macro instead, because this is what I'm going to be adding to this place. So you remember I told you this is going to be a placeholder, okay? Once the right item that I need to add here is given or has been added, these will not be useful anymore, okay? So it tells it, okay, something is going to be added here, but now from here, I mean, start from here, something is going to be added here much later. So once that thing is added, this becomes anyway, that is the purpose for it here, okay? And this is our directory. From here to here is our directory that we already set, okay? And this is the code that actually imports the data set. But this is only for one data set. When we run this, we can only import one data set at a time, okay? So for us to be able to combine all the imported data into a single data set, we need to write another code again here. And the code is we have to write another procedure, which is proc append, and we need a base file, which is all the files combined. That is the 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, we have all the 5 data set combined into one is the base, okay? And the this data here will be the name of the new each of the time that it runs, it creates a data set, and we want to progressively add the data set to the previous one, okay? And that is what this one does here. And this one is forcing it to do that work, especially when you have situations where the columns are not the same. But in this case, I'm assuming that you have the same structure for your data set that I've shown you is the same number of columns, and also you can have multiple number of rows, but the number of columns should match in this case, okay? So that is just it. Also, it ends here. The macro starts here by the word macro and ends here by the word mend. So mend means macro end, okay? So the macro ends here. And to call the macro, you see the name here that I already declared here. I need to just declare it, okay? I want to declare this, and then I feed it the data set that I want to feed it, okay? So that's how it works. So without much ado about anything, I just first clear the memory and then just run the macro, okay? Everything, I'm going to run everything, and I shouldn't be seeing any issues. Okay, now everything is run successfully. We run it successfully, so we need to now call the macro, okay? Let's just do the first one to be sure that just to show you what happens, okay? We click on this, and you see the data set is imported. So let's go to the log to be sure everything works fine. Here we have this data set has been created successfully, and we have this data set has 20 observations and 15 variables. That's what we want to happen. So now it's saying appending. Remember what I said here, okay? Append. So let's see what it says here. Append work this to this. So now this is now our new data set. So it's adding. So it has added the first data to this table here already. So the second one will be added, the third one will be added, and the fourth one will be added. And look at it here. Where is it again? Where is it again? Telling me what we talking about run. Okay, here. So this is the macro that I ran. Okay, so now it tells me, gave me some information. Now let's go to the next one. I'm going to be running the remaining 4. Okay, so then if we have the first as 20 and we have the data set, the observations are the same, 20 observations. By the time everything run is finished, we should have 100 observations, 15 variables. So let's see what happens. Now everything ran. Let's go to the log to be sure everything ran fine. So everything ran fine, and it goes to the 5th one. Okay, let's see the final here. The last one has been added, okay, appended. So that one has been appended to the data number 4. And what we see here is that the new data set that we created now has 100 observations and 15 variables. That is exactly what we want to happen. So, and that is exactly what we see here. Okay, so that is exactly what we see here. Let's go back to the code again. You see how I mean what I said. We have, what would have happened is this: if we had to do this, we have to write this 5 times to do the work for us. Okay, for us not to do that, to make it a little more simple, to make it less cumbersome, we need to just write it once. Okay, and then use this macro to repeat it many times, and that is the 5th time here that we repeated it and we had the result. Okay, that is how it works. So now we want to print the entire data set. Now just run this. Now we have our data. Okay, so the reason why I'm printing this is for us to identify our markers. Remember, the first data set we use 1,000 to identify it. The second, which we start at 21, we use 2,000, and then the third, which starts at 41, we use 3,000, and the fourth, which we start at 61, 4,000, and the last one is 5,000. So it means that all our data set have been imported successfully. So that is what we want. Okay, so on the right here for R, we are going to be using the same data set here. You can see here in this folder, which is my working directory, I've already added the data set, so it's the same thing as before. So but the difference here will be that we have a different platform, which is the R. Okay, so for you to do that, we are going to be using this package called Vroom. As the name suggests, it's very fast in loading, especially suited for large data set, upward of gigabytes. Okay, it can help you, or can import the data set with speed, okay, or very quickly. So first, if you haven't installed it yet, just run this code to import it, to install it. Okay, first, this one is from the Pran repository. So but if you want the development version of it from GitHub, you can just run this code to obtain that. So assuming you've done that, we need to set the working directory as I've set here, so that it points me to this folder, so which means it makes the work easier for me because I don't need to specify a very long directory to get here. Okay, so the next thing we do here is for me to load the data set, the package. So now the package has been loaded. So now since I'm using this as my working directory, I do not need to specify this here anymore. Okay, I only need to tell these I need to create read files that end with the CSV. Okay, all the CSV files. So I need to I want to read them using this code here. Okay, it uses this function to do see. So the function says this is path. It needs a path, and we have some other options there, other arguments that are default. Okay, so I do not really need to do anything other than just like use this argument here, okay, which will be equal to any of the files that are CSV. Okay, and that's the basic. That's the basic. So let me just run this. When I run this, it tells me everything runs fine, but then I need to check that the appropriate files are read. Okay, is that right? Appropriate. Okay, yeah, I want to check if the appropriate files are read. Okay, here we have CSV 1, Olympics 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I want to be sure that all the 5 files are read correctly. Okay, now I have my files. So I have 1 Olympics 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the next thing here will be to just pass these files directly to create a single table from all these files by passing this directly to the vroom, okay, by using these very short line of code, this one liner here, okay, is vroom. So I want this function vroom to be called from this package vroom, and I want to pass all the files to it, okay, and I want to store it in this vector all CSV, okay. That is descriptive enough. So let me just run it without much ado. I run it, okay. Now let me just bring this up a little. You see that it says 100 rows, okay, and 15 observations. Does that ring a bell? So let's go back here to what we got from our SAS output. We see here that there is we have 100 observations, which is the rows, and then we have okay, not these here, I think up there, not okay, here. Anyway, we have 100 observations, and then we have 15 columns, okay. So that is what I want to spell out here, so which is pretty much the same thing, and it tells you the type of file, okay. We have the character here, all this here. I'm going to be opening it, and you'll see. So it has read it correctly. So we've had all our files into one single file called all CSV, okay. Remember what happened here? What happened here too? All the files were stored here too as in this table all CSV. The same thing we are doing here too. So I've read this, so I want to know the dimension to be sure. So so the dimension is what we have what 15 rows, 100 rows, 15 columns, okay. So and we want to view our data set just the same way we printed it there. So this is our data set. So just for us to identify it, we have 100, 1000, we have 2000, we have 3000 here, and then we have 4000, we have finally we have 5000, okay. That means our data is read correctly, so we are good to go. So this applies to this does not have any limit, place any limit to the number of files you can have, okay. You can have as many files as possible, so long as they have the same structure. I can't emphasize that enough. So long as the files have the same structure, you won't have any problem, okay. And then to view it further, we can use we can actually view this data sets from in Excel directly by just running this code. So we see you should see Excel pop up, and then you should see this is our data set, okay. Now we have the first one here, we have the second one here, and then we have the first one here, we have the second one 2000, and then we have the third one 3000, we have the fourth one 4000, the fifth one 5000. So our data is read correctly, okay. So I can go ahead and close this. I don't need to save it. So now that is it. So remember, if you need to import multiple data sets, multiple CSV files, this is how it is done. First, I added a macro just around a working code already, okay. This one works fine for only one, and I added this to join all of them together, and then have a macro to make that repetitive, and then I fed it with all the data set that I wanted to help me import, and then I printed it here, and here I can actually run this. This one doesn't, it's not necessary in this case, so I just want to know the contents, okay. Remember what we have here, when it read it shows me, okay, some of them are character, and then things like that. These are numbers, okay. These are numbers, so we can actually run this pro content here to view what I I think it doesn't exist anymore, so it's cleared. Okay. Oh no, this is our data set. Okay, now we just run it. So we see, so this is the table that we are interested in. Okay, we're interested in the age. The age is numeric. Everything is fine here, but we need to, this is not according to how it is actually arranged in the data set. If you open the data, it's not arranged this way. The first one was the ID or something like that. So to make that happen, so here we can just I think it's var num. Okay, to add these this option var num, this is variable number, so it has, if we now arrange it according to how it appears in the data set itself. So when we run this, we see that okay, it has arranged it that way. So we have the ID, we have the this, we have this, and then in that order as well. Okay, so if you like our video, I want you to comment on our video. Expressly, I want you to subscribe to our channel, and I want you to like it and share it. Okay, so thank you. See you in the next tutorial.